the Summer Solstice in Community.
Join our annual Arts and Wellness Festival to connect, create, and celebrate with the Soultry Sisters.
In 2023, we explored what it means to cultivate your sanctuary.
Our 3-day festival highlights BIPOC, women, and queer artists and wellness practitioners based in San Diego.
Each year, we collaborate with featured guest artists to build our festival program, which includes creative expression classes, wellness workshops, and performances.
Day 1 of the festival is all about connection. We begin our festival with a social mixer where attendees enjoy music, dancing, and have an opportunity to meet other attendees, guest artists, and us.
Day 2 of the festival is all about creating. Our arts and wellness workshops give folks an opportunity to explore, embrace, and embody what cultivating your sanctuary means to them.
Day 3 of the festival is all about celebration. There is music, dancing, performances, and an open mic for attendees to share. Without a doubt, we always close with a dance party and teach folks the Soultry strut.
We are grateful for all the memories made each year at our Summer Solstice Arts and Wellness Festival, and we can't wait to see you next year.
In the meantime, remember to keep living vibrant and shining bright.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, Soultry fam. Happy Wednesday.
Yes, happy Wednesday. We are back. The sun is still shining on the East Coast, so I am happy. It was a warm day. I did an afternoon walk, which actually was really hot, so I probably shouldn't have done it then. But yeah.
If you are a first timer here on our Soultry Live, we are in the middle of our festival interview series where we are bringing on some guest artists who will be presenting, performing, leading workshops at our annual festival. And we're really excited because this is our first time doing an interview series, Soultry Hangout, where we get to really sit down and learn about the artists, learn what makes them tick, what inspires them, and most importantly, about their creative practice. Soultry Sisters Arts and Wellness Collective is all about creating environments for connection, inspiration, and that's why we're here. And we're super, super excited because the person we have as a guest artist today is someone that we are excited to work with for the first time at the festival, but we have been a fan of their work for some time now.
Yes, we'll do our check-ins. And so the usual, if y'all are tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, you can also share where you're tuning in from and what you're sipping on. So I'm on the East Coast still for a few weeks still before I go back to California for the festival. But I am sipping on two things, of course. So H2O and my handy dandy sparkling guava drink from Trader Joe's. And it goes in my outfit. So I thought that was so cute because the drink is like green and pink, the little logo. And I'm wearing green and pink today. And then I'll do an outfit check too. So I have my earrings made by our lovely artist that we have on today, who will share more later. And then, so it's the pom poms themselves. And then I have this green shirt that I got thrifted just recently. And then all my different jewelries and stuff. Yes. So just wanted to shout out.
We love an outfit shout out, and I love that guava drink. I'm excited to share that I'm drinking something new today. Oh, before that, I'm tuning in from sunny San Diego.
She's like, get to
I'm
the
just trying to get
nitty-gritty.
this drink. So I'm drinking some Brew Doctor tasty and fizzy probiotic tea. And this one is Island Mango. And it also kind of matches my vibe today too. But I'm gonna be a little extra, and I'm sipping in it in a little fancy stemless wine glass. But fun story. When I was at the checkout counter at our local grocery store, they tried to card me for this, and I said, "Sir, this is kombucha," but it looked that fancy that he was like, "I'm gonna need an ID for this." So I just thought that was funny.
That's
tried
funny.
to card me for drinking some Brew Doctor, but I think it has to do with it being brew, and it came in like a 4-pack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm sipping on, but I thought that was funny. And the flavor is mango, passion fruit, and green tea.
Oh, that's a lot of my favorite little flavors right
Mhm.
there. So I need to try that out. You know what, y'all? In this next year, I am manifesting that we get drink sponsors for the Hangout series. I
Thank
just thought about
you.
that right now. We be drinking all types of beverages, uplifting people, and we're not even sponsored. Truly, we are unsponsored for the hangout. Sometimes at our festival, we are sponsored by different places, but for this
Yeah.
live series, it's really not. So next year, that's going to change.
Well, because we're really about supporting brands. We don't just do brand deals just because. We do them because we really support. So yes, definitely. If you would like to sponsor this hangout and you happen to be affiliated with a beverage company, please shout us out. But no further holding. We're talking about the Summer Solstice Festival. And this year, our theme is reclaiming ancestral healing practices.
Yes, and so we started off at the beginning of May, doing like a Q&A with you all. So that's up on our YouTube channel, the replay of like all the details of why we do the Summer Solstice Festival. What does that mean to us? What does year three include? Because this is our third year doing the annual festival. And then each week we've had really amazing guest artists who will be at this year's festival, sharing more about their artistic practices, sharing more about what the theme means to them, and just sharing and hanging out about like what we're excited about, connecting in our journeys, because a lot of times we work together, or actually this guest artist we're talking to today is the first time we'll be working with them. But for a lot of the artists, even though we are in community, we don't always get to just hang out, and that's what the purpose of our Wednesday lives is, just to hang out with folks, chat, and for folks to get to know the artists that we're featuring, and just to build community.
And if you enjoy this format of hanging out, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out all of our different content. We have the interview series, we have a book club series, we have mindful movement, all the things. And also for the day to day to see the ins and outs of Soultry and also all of our fun festival promotions, make sure to follow us on Soultry Sisters on Instagram and all social media platforms. To learn more about the festival and the work that we do, visit soultrysisters.com.
Yes, and our YouTube, we're at 190 subscribers. We just need 10 more to get to 200, y'all. And we haven't been on YouTube that long, actually.
Mm-mm.
And so this is really exciting for us because we love to not only do our hangouts, but we have YouTube videos for like mindful movement, for meditations. We have replays of our 5-year anniversary
Mhm.
celebration that we did this January. There's so many fun things on there. So
Yes.
definitely like and subscribe so you can get alerted
Yes.
when we go live.
And also, we got to share, we are not monetized yet. So
Yeah.
help us help you. All that we do here right now is totally free because we
Free.
love community. So if you want to help us, help these sisters out, definitely like, subscribe, share this so we can monetize and keep bringing you free programming like this. But if you're like, want to help us in the meantime, in between time, you can donate and support at Soultry Sisters on Venmo and PayPal. And honestly, we'd love to see you at the festival. So the best way to support us at this day and time is to register for a festival ticket. You can also sponsor a ticket by donating and then telling us that you'd like to donate your ticket to a community member. We are big on accessibility, and we have artist grants, we have scholarships, we have volunteer opportunities. We're all about making sure that if you want to be a part of our annual festival, you can by applying for our different programming.
Yeah.
So with that said, we're going to start to segue into bringing on our guest artist. What do you think, Tony?
Yes, I'm so excited.
All right. Here's our guest artist. Hi.
Oh, thank you so
We
much for having me.
Yes, we have the wonderful Katie Ruiz here with us with your beautiful background. Can you tell us where you are tuning in from and what you're sipping on?
I am currently in Los Angeles, California, Highland Park, and I'm sipping on a delicious black tea with sage notes. It's so good.
Mm.
Yeah, and my outfit, I guess, matches, which is a black tank top, which is
Mm.
boring. But you know what? I'll just talk about my
Oh, yes.
momentary jewelry, which is that my
Nice.
Mona just gave me these little charms. That was my
Mm.
grandmother's initial. And yeah, so this was actually her home, and where she made a lot of crochet. So I carry on the tradition of yarn. You can see my yarn wall in the back here, which has been a dream of mine that just came true recently, to stock myself full of colorful yarn. So that's this is currently my studio. I recently started moving my studio up to LA after having to move out of my art studio in San Diego. So my aunt said, "Hey, there's an empty garage." And I thought, that's not a bad idea. I'll have separation, and be able to go to LA and work on art and be like, okay, this is art week and it's working. So that's what I'm currently doing. I'm having art week right now.
Yes. I love it.
I love that.
We love seeing your sanctuary. Like, it's giving us so much visual dopamine hits. We love that. Thank you for sharing that. And like also that the heirloom necklace, like we love that as well. So thank you for sharing that. And we love Black. Don't get it twisted. We love color, but we love a classic Black outfit. Y'all don't even know. My uniform outside of clothes is black on black on black. So we love it.
I mean, I love color. I'm usually like doused in color, but whenever I'm doing a speaking engagement, I get super hot. So I just like ripped off my sweatshirt a minute ago. I was like, I don't know why it gets me hot, but
I mean, hot for craftivism, maybe hot for crafting your dreams. I mean, so speaking of that, speaking of hot topics, can you tell us a little bit more about your art practice?
Absolutely. So as I was saying, my abuelita, my grandmother, was a crochet masterpiece woman, and I was literally dressed in crochet from the day I was born, little dresses that she made. So I've always been artistic, which was really more painting, and I went all the way through graduate school as a painting major. And in graduate school, I was painting people under blankets, and then it was really like the search of pursuing that, like, what do these blankets mean? What are the symbolism of these blankets? So I learned traditional backstrap weaving at a residency in Oaxaca. And when I came home, on a blanket, you typically will put tassels or pom-poms. And so I started thinking about ways of this beautiful ancient tradition of backstrap weaving and how I could make it contemporary. So I started playing with, I'll add, 50 tassels or 100 pom-poms to my weaving, instead of just having the traditional, backstrap weaving textiles. So that's really how it began. And I had, always dabbled in craft my whole life. I love sewing, and I used to knit, and really anything. I just like to learn new crafts. I love to try things. But yarn is so soft and fuzzy and inviting. And I really love the actual skein of yarn. I was like, I don't even want to take this apart. So I just, ended up plopping it onto a sculpture or a painting. And that's what I really started making, like mixed media types of art. And that's, the pom-pom making was just something that started before the pandemic, but and I don't even know, can't even like put my foot on the exact moment I started making pom-poms, except for that it was after the weaving residency. And from there, I was just at home making my own personal artwork, and I really had this attitude of like, you have to be in the studio 8 to 10 hours a day. You really should sacrifice everything. Like, you should be solo in the studio to be successful. And then Oceanside Museum of Art actually was the first museum to contact me after a show I'd had at Mesa Art Gallery, where we started making some pom-poms and tying them onto the fence as part of just a community project. And they said, hey, can you do this, at a larger scale? And I said, yeah, but there's no way I can make 1,000 pom-poms by myself. It takes 5 to 10 minutes per pom-pom. I would never do anything else. So maybe the community helps. Maybe we invite people. Oh yeah, maybe we do some classes or workshops. And then the pandemic ended up hitting, which I thought was going to really destroy the project. I really thought it was kind of over, and I was bummed, but instead we pivoted and did take-home kits. And then we did this. We did parties where we were still able to connect. And, at that time, like, people were scared, and, we were like spraying bleach on our cardboard boxes when they, things
Yeah.
like
I saw.
scared. And with that, we didn't know what was happening, but it was actually such a beautiful connection, and people were working together for a common good. And that, I think that aspect of it, we're like, okay, we're making something for Pride. And as a community, just came together weekly and did these Zoom parties. And then people dropped off the pom-poms at Oceanside Museum of Art. And lo and behold, 1,000 pom-poms arrived at the door. And we were able to make a huge 25-foot Pride flag for the facade of Oceanside Museum. So, at first we thought it was going to be a 3-week pandemic, and then we realized it was a 3-month pandemic, and then we realized it was a 3-year pandemic. And so they didn't get to have their parade, but they did film an event in front of the flag that year. And
yeah. Love that. And also, we're from Oceanside, and I think you shared with us that you have a history of Oceanside too. So we love that Oceanside Museum was a seed for craftivism, for using your art to involve others and get other people involved in using art for a purpose and a message. But I want to talk a little bit about the way I intersected or came about knowing you. We were in a group exhibition at Liberty Station, and your work was like the poster of the group exhibition. It was a mixed media work, and it was like sultry colors because it had pink and the yellow of the sunset, and it had the 2 blankets of people with the 2 hands.
Yeah.
And it made me think of me and my sister, actually. And they're like leaning and you can't see their faces. And so when you talk about like your work about being blankets and coming from your abuelita and connection, and it really makes me think of that work. And I remember seeing it on the poster, but seeing it in person, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like so cool. And it's like textile art. So then it's like, I wanted to touch it. And you're like, you can touch it. I was like, I can't.
Everyone can touch them, but you can. But, if thousands of people touched them, they'd probably look pretty crummy.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Right,
yeah, I remember that I was able to like introduce myself to you because I was in that group exhibition and showing a dance film, and all of our work was talking about sustainability and using our artwork to create change. So I really want to talk to you a little bit about a little more, dive into how you like to use your work to talk about social change, and what are some of the things you like, some of the messages you like to amplify in your work.
Yeah. I've always been an activist or a humanitarian, but I never really connected it with my art in a way that I felt was it didn't do what I wanted it to do until the Pom Pom Project. And then I realized, like a pride flag is activism, and then I made a women's symbol for the Women's Museum, and then Planned Parenthood called and I made a Planned Parenthood logo. And I only took on, of course, projects that I'm passionate about myself, and really believe in reproductive rights and women's rights and, LGBTQ community rights. And that was my dog, by the way. She, sorry.
No, I couldn't hear anything.
We didn't hear your dog.
Okay. So I realized, you can make a pom-pom into an abstract work, or you can make it into a picture that is telling or, giving some sort of story or activism behind it. So that's really where the real basis of the, the installation itself came from. But I then truly believe that, relationship is the intervention. And the more that I was in community with folks. I mean, people, they would just be making a pom-pom, be like, oh my God, like I didn't know I needed this, or
Mhm.
they would make a friend, or they, you know, by the end of it, they were exchanging phone numbers with someone or sharing their artwork and their stories. And I realized, okay, that is also activism, right? Like
Mhm.
the true activism, or to me, the way through all of these messes that we're in right now, politically, on large scale, small scale, they start by trusting each other. And the only way to trust
Mhm.
each other, or the way to fix it, is through trusting each other, is to rebuild community. And you can't do that if you're not around people. and,
Mhm.
and it's easy for me to hide as an artist. Like I said, I thought I had to be solo. And then I realized, like, not only did they need the Pom Pom Project, I needed the Pom Pom Project. And my art is so much better when it's built with others, you know, and really sharing that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I want to share. I'm wearing a part of Katie's art, some
Yeah.
earrings that I got at the Women's Museum. I feel like I came across your art probably through social media, probably around the pandemic, and so I've been following you and your work. And then we got to go to the Women's Museum and then see the mural that you did as well in the space. But I resonate a lot with like your backstory because like our mother crochets, and then she's also like a self-taught seamstress, and then her mother was also a seamstress. So crafting has always been something that our mom instilled in us. Like she's very handy and always loved learning, and so she passed that down to me. So I love crafting and doing different things around, and I also just like learning new things, and so whenever I can try a new craft, that always engages me. And I don't always strive for mastery. I just like trying new things and seeing the behind the scenes of like how things are made, I think are also quite interesting. But what you talked about with like community and that activism part really resonates with our mission at Soultry. Like we started in 2019. Oh, we just want to event small for our friends and whoever wants to come, and then people wanted it more and more and more. And then here we are 5 years later, and we do a festival now for 3 years. But we definitely resonate with like that communal space and like doing things together, being
Mm-hmm.
a part of the movement towards like liberation and all these other things.
Yeah, relationship is the intervention is like the phrase I'm like
Mhm.
holding on to, that what you just shared, and it makes me want to think about in reflection to this year's theme, like reclaiming our ancestral healing practices. Speaking of relationship is the intervention. What inspired you to want to learn the ancestral practice of weaving? Like, what was that? Was that the start of your reclamation? Was that as a part of, like, I just want to give you space to reflect with us and tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh, that's a good question. I think I'm always in search of myself. And as a person who was raised in two ethnicities, Mexican and Caucasian families who have very different cultures, I really have always strived to learn more about my Irish heritage and my Mexican heritage. And so I just started looking up those types of textiles and realizing that all those textiles, the symbols are actually telling stories. They're stories of how many children are in the family and where they lived and what they ate, and all kinds of stories within the textile. So to me, I think it's sort of just in pursuit of, yeah, reclaiming my ancestry. As someone, as a mixed race person, you're kind of confused. I didn't even know I was a Chicana until I was like 26 or something, because it was banned where I grew up in Arizona. And I just truly didn't know.
Mm.
I truly didn't know until I knew. And then once I knew, I went in search, of all parts of myself, instead of just accepting what was handed to me. And
Mhm.
my family members don't even know, because they came here 50 years ago and they've lost their traditions as well. So
Mhm.
I think it was in the name of that, of like exactly what you're doing, or what the theme is, reclaiming ancestral history. And I think any textile art is that, right? And
Yes.
like you said, Tony, the Women's Museum exhibit was textiles of the women's movement, which really was another seed that was planted when I realized, sewing bees and the history of quilting in our country and the history of weaving all over the world, not just Mexico, but the Philippines and many other places that have not just traditional backstrap weaving, and even how colonialism brought wool and things like that. So really to learn the ins and outs of a craft, and also how it shaped history. So, even the idea of every state that became a state, we sewed a star on the flag, or women getting together to quilt the stories of their histories. And so I think learning that history through the Women's Museum lens, and being able to put on that show also did that for me. And I think for textile art, I would like to say, like, reclaiming textile art as fine art rather than craft only. I think that is something to me, as I went to art school, grad school in New York City, and like, you weren't supposed to make craft. You were supposed to make paintings, and that was the chosen medium. And there's a lot of conflict. So a lot of it was about breaking my own stupid rules that were silly, like, that doesn't make sense. And now if you look at the art world, textiles are really having a moment. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I've been seeing different exhibits around that do highlight textile, specifically women and femmes in textile art, and how a lot of times that has been, I guess, like a domestic task or things that they do, in the home. Um, but yeah, I think it's beautiful. There's like a big exhibit right now in London happening, but I'm not able to go, but it's centering textile art. So yeah, all over the world, I think there's this reconnecting to it, because again, our communities have been doing it for forever, and it's been a part of our history, a part of our culture. And I think also the movement is like highlighting it also as a cultural practice, I think, is a way to kind of honor it as well. Is that, like, yes, we are doing these things, and it can be mindfulness and communal things, but it's also like keeping our culture and like sustaining our culture, as like you said, as generations come, that these are how our stories are told. So I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah. It also makes me think that you're like, what's coming up for me is like thinking about our mother being a seamstress. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm watching season 3 of Bridgerton.
Yes.
And so this is gonna make sense. Just stay with me. Okay. And so in Bridgerton, these high elite class folks, they get their dresses made for all the balls, new dress. And I'm not gonna talk about it anymore because I don't want to give any spoilers, but it made me reflect on how our mother would make our gowns, our dresses for our homecoming, our prom, like any type of special, like even our fiestas, because we're Filipino. She would make us special outfits for all of our fiestas to celebrate our province of Parañaque. And so I was recently I was asking my mom, like, oh, what made you like make us like our prom dresses? Like, what? Because I can't. It's interesting that there's certain things I remember, but I don't remember sometimes, like, why did she say yes versus like I remember it happened. I remember those different things. And she was like, well, it's because it was less expensive, honestly, to make your prom dress than it was to buy the $500,000. And I was like, oh, but the way my mom framed it for me was like, I can make your dress. We're going to go to the garment district. And I just thought it was just like, I thought I was bougie for getting my dress made. I had no idea. For her, she was like, actually, I can make you a custom dress for way less expensive than these, $1,000 dress with all these beadings. She's like, we can buy that beading, we can buy that lace, and I can cut it. So now, like, part of that reclaiming is ancestral practice is also to recognize the power of like our mother and how she empowered herself as our mother to provide us these special things, with also this is an economic reason too, but just to also acknowledge how special that is. Because in Bridgerton, it's like only the elite would get their dresses made all the time, but we had that special thing. So part of that, I just wanted to bring that into the conversation because it's kind of relevant to what we're talking about. But just, yeah, being able to have that skill, I feel like we're having another renaissance of being more tactile, making our things, upcycling our things, being more sustainable. And our mother kind of modeled that. And it didn't hit me till I'm like, in my 30s, like, wow, I'd like to have that skill now.
You can learn anytime.
Yes, exactly.
Like, oh my gosh, she would be so happy if you were like, let's sit down for a day and learn how
it has started. We have started. I had a costume because I'm a choreographer and I was commissioned, and the budgets be tight. So I was like, I guess I'm gonna have to put together a costume. And so she mentored me through sewing a costume piece, like sewing pieces together, like upcycling. And I did hand stitching, and it was challenging, but also very therapeutic. Like I felt like it just kind of got my mind, and I was like, we were watching TV and it was a bonding experience. But I also realized like the act of hand sewing and stitching, doing that repetitive movement was very was a practice that was very soothing, more than I thought.
100%. It also makes you appreciate a quilt so much more,
or
a garment
where I guess like the time I grew up in was just, $5 shirts, $7 shirts, wear it once, throw it away. Like I grew up in the crisp white t-shirt moment.
Yes.
White tees only.
The tag still on, and then throw it away. Like it was crazy to realize that that's what we were doing. And I mean, I'm sure some people still can afford to do that, but I can't. And why would I want to? Because so much of it is ending up in piles and piles and tons of trash. Literally, we sell our used clothing, or not even used, brand new clothing that didn't sell, to other countries to put in trash piles for us. It's an environmental catastrophe. And so it is really important to learn those tools and to reclaim clothing or remake clothing or patch clothing and rewear it. And now, I remember I used to have to patch my jeans because and I have thighs, so the inner thighs.
Yes, we know the struggle. Yes.
And I was horrified that like the patch could be seen, but now it's like, ooh, look at my cool patch. It's actually in style now to have patches showing, and visible mending is what they call it.
Yes, and also with like crocheting and knitting and that kind of textile garments and art is like coming back too, because I crocheted a lot when I was younger because me and my mom would do it, and then I fell out, but I still love crochet garments. So I buy people's handmade stuff, but I want to get back into making a lot more stuff myself. But just seeing all the girlies online like make like a Kindle cover with like yarn, or do this or do that, and that's been so cool to see too, as like from like being a little girl and those things being things that I like to do, but like most people weren't really doing that. And then now seeing like it seems like a lot more people are doing it nowadays, and especially with YouTube being able to learn, it's just like I guess more accessible. And so that's what I appreciate about with the Pom Pom project and your work, is that it's also making that art and that craft and the creation of it accessible to folks, because that's really important for us at Soultry Sisters. And so I wanted to give you space to talk more about kind of how, like the accessibility part comes out in your work or the projects that you do.
Yeah, I love pom-poms in particular because they are super inclusive, and it is easy to make and also enjoyable to make. Actually, I have one right here.
Oh, we got a live demo.
This is a pom-pom maker. I already wrapped. So you just wrap the yarn around half of the contraption, and it is, like I said, very mindful. I'll just do it now.
Yeah.
You can have a little visible of like, because people are always like, but what is a pom-pom, you know? And it's just a yarn ball, and it just is the process of wrapping around this thing, which then can be very cathartic. Like, first of all, you're using something soft, you're doing something repetitive. It's something that I feel like all ages enjoy. Like, it really doesn't matter who you are, it's enjoyable. I call it pom-pom joy, because every time a person opens up a pom-pom, they're like, oh, you know, and they're just, it doesn't, I love it so much, because I like that moment to me it's gold, you know, it really is. So I think it's something that like I've heard people say, oh, it calms me down, or, you know, I can do this at home. It's kind of, it can be mindless or it can be mindful, depending on, you know, if you want to watch Bridgerton, you can watch Bridgerton and do this, or you can like obsessively focus on what you're wrapping. And so I've seen kids as young as like 3 do it, you know, that there's our scissors involved. So there is cutting part to it that sometimes people need help with, but it is one of those things that I can teach one time and then they know how to do it. And I also love that I feel like, okay, each one teach one. Now you teach the next person who walks up, you know. I forgot the question. What was it?
I know we were talking about just like accessibility.
Yeah, you answered it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I really love about it, is it is so inclusive. It's enjoyable. Obviously, you're dealing with yarn, so you're dealing with, you know, fun colors. You're dealing with softness, and that is something that I like to think about. Like, I feel like we live in a harsh, cement covered world, especially if you live in a city, you know, and like to add softness to something really, it can be an important moment. Yes. And when you're also just knowing that you're doing it not just for yourself, but for an artwork or for, you know, a public display, people put a lot of pride in that too. And that again is another part of like healing community, is putting pride into what we make for the community, right? Instead of just making for ourselves only.
I think I remember we were speaking a little bit and we were talking about how some people might be nervous to make art like at an art workshop, but when they think that when they know that their art will be a part of like a bigger project, or they're helping someone by making it, that it sometimes people can get more inspired to do it versus feeling more hesitant to create something on display.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really, it helps people ease their way in. And a lot of people who come to a workshop will say, oh, you know, I'm just like getting back into it, into making art, or, you know, I wanted to try something, you know, with a group. I think people really crave doing things together in this time. And, you know, for good reason, reason.
Yeah. And there it is.
I'm gonna
here we go.
All the way around this does take like a good pair of scissors to do.
Some sharp scissors.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut all the way around this thing. Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing just a pom-pom making, I guess.
Yes, I love it.
When I'm doing meetings, I'll just like quietly be wrapping so no one can see, but I'm making pom-poms. Like,
I love that.
I love that. Me and Tony actually used to, when we did our Soultry Hangouts on every Sunday during the pandemic, we would have some craft offs. Yes, we would make things together. So this is, Tony, we could probably
we like to do different sustainable crafts. So we'll just sometimes make like a water bottle into a planter, things like that.
That is fun.
We're tying it.
Oh, I love that.
And then pull it really, really tight.
Okay.
You feel it slide through, then I double knot it. Like, it's so easy. This contraption made it especially easy, and you can buy them at any craft store. Okay, ready for the reveal? The grand.
Yes.
You're ready.
You open the doors, and then the final part, you hold these sides, and you just pull it open, and
ta-da! Woo!
And then my favorite part.
It's so big. I love it.
Yeah, it's like a trim. I love to give it a little haircut.
Have a little haircut.
make it perfect. Yeah, it's so satisfying. It's so easy. Yeah, that little pop open moment is truly pom-pom joy. I'm telling you.
It's giving me joy, and I'm just watching.
Right?
I already know it's so soft. I'm like,
So soft.
It's so soft.
They didn't always come out oval, but
hey, we love it. We love it. Maybe turn it into the evil eye.
Yeah, I did. I can wrap them so that it does look like an evil eye, actually.
Yeah, we love it. So y'all, if you're tuning in, if you're watching live right now, if you're watching the replay, Katie will be leading a workshop at our festival. And so make sure to check that out. I am excited. And speaking of the festival and things that we're looking forward to, we wanted to ask you, are you looking forward to anything specific or particular at this year's festival? Let us know.
I'm always looking forward to being in community with people who are there. They know why they're there. They're there to be in community. They're there to learn something. They're there to be vulnerable or open, and I'm really excited just to hear from the other artists and leaders who are going to be speaking, and I'm ready to dance.
Yes. Oh, yes. We're going to teach you the Soultry strut.
We have our own line dance, but we love all line dances, so we're going to be doing them all.
I told you I grew up in Arizona. I have done.
Oh, okay, yeah. You got to teach us one.
Oh. We'll see. I'm not a good dancer. I love dancing because I look silly and it makes me laugh. So I'm usually just in the back, like giggling hard because it's so funny, but I'm not good at it.
Well, you know how you talk about pom-pom joy?
Yeah.
We like poom-poom joy. So we like to we like to shake. We like to shake. That's if you know, that's a little joke. But for us, like just like you, we want to make moving and dancing and that generating joy through movement accessible. So just like you have the Pom Pom Project where you're teaching people how to do something very accessible, we're going to be leading a movement workshop. But outside of a workshop, we center dance at all of our mixers. We're always inviting people to listen to music and generate joy, whether that is moving and grooving or bobbing and weaving their head. So we don't consider like people good or bad at dance. It's like it's all always about vibe. So you are a dancer to us. If you got a spirit, you can dance.
I'm the one.
You got soul.
I'm the one running into the person next to me, though. I'm like, oh,
it's just a booty bump.
And then I'm cracking up and I'm crying because I'm laughing so hard,
So you're generating that joy, yeah.
It's fun. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I'm looking forward to being around, other lovely community members who maybe I don't know. I love to meet new people. So, and some people I do know. So that's exciting.
Yeah. It's definitely a space where you can reconnect with folks and learn and meet other people. And that's honestly, selfishly why I love the festival. Like it's a reunion of our community, but we always get to meet new people and create new friendships, new connections. So we are equally excited. So happy that you are going to be a part of this year's festival.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Sometimes it feels like a job and other times it feels like a co-creating, and this is very much like a co-creating experience, and it's lovely. I mean, y'all are on top of it. I'm learning so much. I just learned about StreamYard.
Yeah.
And these are things I'm going to take away from this also. It's not just that, but also learning the way that you are building this up and sharing yourselves and being, always open and vulnerable and kind. The world needs more of this. So it's so lovely to also just have the opportunity to get to know both of you and work with you both as well.
Oh, thank you. We received that. Yes. Speaking of like, talking about certain things, we want to give you space to talk about an event that's happening this weekend with Soul Loca, another textile artist in San Diego.
Yes. So Loca, Claudia, is someone who uses reused clothing, reclaims it, bleaches it, adds patches, sews it, sometimes makes, from scratch items as well. And so I won a grant this year, the Far South Border North grant, to do pom-pom projects in the community. And that enabled me to create 2 installations and 8 workshops that I've been doing for the last several months. So I installed one of them for Casa Familiares Via Merced, which is a senior community room. So that's more of a private space, but it was so lovely to work with the elders in San Isidro. And then I did the other workshops around Barrio Logan and San Diego areas, and decided to install that in So Loca's space because she is such a huge community member and textile artist as well. So you can come Saturday from 12 to 6 and see the new installation. There's also a documentary of the grant project that we did, which shows pom-pom making, some interviews of people there, the creation of the artworks by her husband, Manny, who's an amazing marketing and producer, video person as well. And then we also were like, well, let's also just make some totes. So we did sewing. We did a limited edition group of 10 totes, not a single one the same. I am a sewer, but not like this. She's like, bzz, bzz.
I know.
Like seam ripping when I messed up. And I learned a lot. I learned how to make a tote. I learned how to make 10 totes. And she also does do sewing classes. So if you're looking for a sewing class, so it's just a great way to hang out. If you're interested in learning about textiles or pom-poms, weaving, any of those things, you can come chat with us. We're going to be there all day from 12 to 6. You can make a pom-pom. You can take the pom-pom home. You can see the totes. I also made a bunch of cute earrings.
Yes.
Like earring. And yeah, we're going to have free popsicles, free paletas. So you might as well come for the free paleta and see Claudia's one-of-a-kind fashions. Enjoy just a lovely Saturday in Barrio Logan. So that's where I'll be Saturday. And then I also have a solo show coming up on June 8th at J. Walcher Communications Firm, which is a really cool Victorian house in Sherman Heights.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Kamal Martin curates that space in the summer. Is part of Art Power Equity, which aims to show BIPOC artists and really give folks an opportunity who wouldn't have an opportunity to show in San Diego. So really focusing on like helping build career, work with this firm. Basically, it's a house takeover. So I called it the Pom Pom House. I'm so excited. Fill a bathtub with pom-poms. That's one.
I love
it. Thing that's going to happen in the pom-pom house. So I've been making these pom-pom artworks for years and I've never shown them.
Oh, wow.
I'm excited to show a lot of these artworks. There's one there.
Ooh, amazing.
Yeah. I'm really excited to show them there.
Yes, we are excited. We shared both events in our chat. So y'all use the chat to click on the links. You can find out more about the event on the 25th and June 8th. I'm putting that in my calendar.
Hi, Melissa. My friend Melissa.
Hi, Melissa. And now we had some folks joining on Instagram too, but no comments. But yeah, so I know earlier you did mention like how activism is like a part of your art. And I know you use the term craftivism, which we kind of have been talking about on the live. I know like kind of indirectly, but I wanted to give you space to talk more about what community craftivism means to you and how does that show up in your work?
Craftivism started in 2003 by Betsy Greer's, the person who coined it. And she was doing like embroidered quotes basically, or things that she wanted to say, and then posting them out in the community. So from there began yarn bombing. And
oh yes, I know that.
Yeah, with crochet, you know, you can write words, you can make pictures. So it's a very similar thing, only with pom-poms. Again, like I said, it was a pride flag, a women's symbol, Planned Parenthood symbol. And so you can make yarn essentially into anything. And then I call it community craftivism is sort of our slogan, because I like to teach people that they can be activists. You don't necessarily have to march in the street. And a lot of people can't. They have a disability, or they have whatever, a reason that they may not be able to, or even the desire to go put yourself at risk. It is depending on the job you have or whatever may be going on, that you can't necessarily go protest. You can be an activist by boycotting, by writing letters, by calling, but also by making art. And I think that's one of the most powerful ways to be an activist, is through storytelling, through whatever your medium is: painting, sculpture, photography, video, yarn bombing, crochet, or pom-poms. So you can make a pom-pom and make it something cute and lovely, and that is wonderful. And you can also make a word out of it, or make it into something that really hits the activism button of not only am I making art, but I'm also speaking about important subjects. And what I really think where it's the moment for me is that pom-poms are also super accessible and soft. So I'm telling an important message in a soft way. Because when you just yell at someone about what you believe in, that doesn't usually work, right?
Right.
It doesn't hit them.
Yes. I mean, what's coming up for me and all that you're saying is like our job as artists is to make the movement irresistible, right? So using these pom-pom pockets of joy, leading with softness, it definitely resonates with that call to action for all of us artists to make the movement, to make our strive for collective liberation irresistible. And I think the only way to do that it really is through art, because the yelling, can only get you so far.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes I do go there, and then it doesn't ever really work out. And I'm like, okay, back to having a really good conversation with someone where I actually try to hear their side and hear them, and learn what they might be going through, and try to connect rather than force my view on someone, because I do have strong beliefs, and I do get feisty sometimes, but it never really lands the way I hope it will.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of relationship is the intervention, like all that you're saying is making me think about, I went to a show this weekend celebrating AAPI month, and it was called Asian Women Speak Out. And they had a Q&A, and a lot of the subject matter was talking was folks using art as a cathartic moment to process like their traumas and reclaiming like their identity through a lot of pushing through stereotypes, pushing through patriarchy, sexism, all those things. And someone said, if, to an artist, it's, you're going through all these things. Like, how do you make art if you're like feeling all these strong, big emotions? Like, how do you create art? And one artist was like, the art is my process through those strong feelings. Like, if I didn't have a creative expression practice, if I didn't have an art practice, I wouldn't have a good relationship with myself and others. Like, in order to have relation, I need to process a lot of the for Matote madness from the Four Agreements. So that's what's also coming up for me, is like how crafting, like whether you are crafting to make a display and share it, or whether you're crafting just for yourself, it is a process for us to be able to have relationships with ourselves and others.
Yes, that is so good, and absolutely true. For me, definitely. And if you don't have that, as a tool, you can always add it. You can, and some people journal, and some people listen to music and dance, or they go to a kickboxing class, and all of those are viable, amazing choices. And also, a little craft. There's so much research behind it now that craft in community is like really proven to uplift and help create actual change in a community. I mean, there's small communities that craft together, and there's communities that don't craft together, and there's large differences between the two. So and it's hard because people consider it kind of silly, you know, or some people do. Or what the one that gets me is when people say, "Oh, I like art, but I don't get it." You know, it's like, no, you don't have to get it. You just have to put yourself in that position. And for some people, it is very uncomfortable. But that's also part of it, right? Get a little uncomfortable. Dancing for me starts out a little uncomfortable, you know?
Exactly.
Yes.
It's like with Soultry, ever since our first event in January 2019, we always had a craft, because that's something that's important to us. Is also like we curate spaces for our community to come together, but we also want people to be able to take home like a token to remember that experience or that moment. And so that's always been something we've had a part of every event, and even with the festival. And yeah, people have similar sentiments when they come to our events. They're like, oh, I never write. Like, we'll do creative writing. And they're like, oh, I never thought to do this. And then they'll now leave with like all these affirmations that they wrote. Or last year at our festival, we did a craft with found objects from nature, right? So it's like allowing people to see the everyday item in a way that's linked to their creative expression. And yeah, just seeing people's experiences, like even at the festival in 3 days, they're going from maybe not knowing anyone there and maybe not even engaging in any of these art practices that we have throughout the weekend, to then the third day we have like a community exhibition of sorts or open mic where they can share their crafts or their creations. They can share their writing. If they want to do a rap, someone rapped last year. If they want to dance, whatever it is, then we feel like it just, that practice of having a craft session helps ignite all these other things in people who, again, don't typically identify as like a big A artist. But that's what we try to empower everyone. And I feel like that's what you do through your work too, is that empowering others in our community to know that like they all themselves are an artist and can use their hands, their voice, their self to make an impact in the community, and how also that's all interconnected to everything that we're doing.
Yes. All of that. All of that.
All of it, all of it, all of it. As we start to wrap up this Soultry Hangout, we want to open it up to folks to ask any questions to Katie, Tony Lynn, or me. If you want to know more about the festival, definitely ask us. Before we finish this live, we want to just say that we do have a scholarship and artist grant for folks who want to join the festival. All you have to do is sign up at SoultrySisters.com SS Festival. So just wanted to put that out there before we end our time here.
That's a great opportunity. I love that. I love that so much that you offer that for artists and for anyone who wants to get involved. I think having that opportunity for those who may not, have the funds, that it is accessible. Again, you're making it accessible in so many ways. I'm just...
Yes, we want, that's what we're trying to do. We really, ideally, we want our festival to be completely free, but that requires the funding to match the cost. So we try to do as much as we can. So with people applying for the artist grant and scholarship, you will help us have proof of the numbers in which the people we are serving and can continue to serve. So just know that you applying is also helping us to make a case for more funding to continue the work that we do. So thank you, Katie, for sharing your appreciation for our programming.
Yes, this has been such a great conversation, and it's been nice to just hear how like our journey as Soultry has had a lot of different overlap with like your journey and your background, and reconnecting to craft and uplifting it and honoring it in ways that are so special and that honors our ancestral backgrounds. And I think that's what I'm so excited for about this year's festival, especially, is that like our artists essentially have like extra permission, because we're always allowing our artists to bring in their backgrounds and their heritage into what they do with us. But this year especially is just like unapologetic, like let's all share, you know, what we're most proud of, what kind of inspires our work. And so, yeah, I'm really excited for your session and for folks to
Sorry.
be able, it's fine, but for folks to be able to experience that themselves. Because again, we've been talking about it, people are getting excited, but we're like, if y'all have been listening and you saw the pom poms that Katie made, just know you too can help
Yes.
make those and all types of other things at this year's festival. So you don't want to miss out. We still have some early bird tickets left. But yeah, it's going to be a weekend full of amazing community connections, art, wellness, and more. So check it out.
Yes, and make sure to tune in next week for a a chat on planting seeds of change and community building. So we're just gonna keep on riding on the waves of inspiration and joy from this conversation, Katie. Thank you so much. We'd like to open up if you have anything else to add. We know you have the event on the 25th and June 8th. Is there any specific connections you want us to drop in the chat, like your website, or how would you like people to connect with you further?
I would say my Instagram is the
Okay.
best, Katie Ruiz Art, and also the Pom Pom Project org. And the websites are the same, katieruizart.com, thepompomproject.org. Those are the best ways to find me. I'm mainly on Instagram, and I love Instagram. It's fun. And yeah, I'm so excited to just meet everyone who's going to be at the event. I cannot wait. I need to fill up the cup. So I
Yes.
know that this will filleth my cup, and I can't wait to share the weekend with you all.
Yes, we'll definitely be doing that together. All right. Next week, we'll see you all.
Yes, thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Bye.